But what is it? Asks one guy. And Trump says, who the cares? You're fired. Because he's right. He knows it's perfect. The mission is right in the title. Here's what Trump said, quote, for far too long, we have relied on taxing our great people using the IRS. Through soft and pathetically weak trade agreements, the American economy has delivered growth and prosperity to the world while taxing ourselves. We will begin charging those that make money off of us with trade, and they will start paying, finally, their fair share. Huh? Yeah. In other words, just like Americans fear the consequences of not paying their taxes at home, foreign countries we do business with will now feel that same fear. Our companies have sent jobs overseas only to import products here at no cost. We've been getting screwed on both ends like a double-headed bolt. Joey knows what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Even more, all these countries have a huge GDP. You know, it's as if they're billionaires who won't pay their fair share. In essence, Trump is creating leverage in all negotiations where leverage never existed before. Think of it this way. A lot of countries don't put anything into their own military because they know they can count on ours. They're like the weak twerps who hang out with a high school bully, acting cocky but never having to throw a punch. Shalou gets that. Other countries think of us like a free insurance policy against invasion. So now Trump wants to turn our military into a private security force, an insurance plan with guns and a copay. Kind of makes sense for countries with no military. Or think of NATO. They have generous social programs because they don't have to spend as much on the military thanks to us. So it's about putting America first, and it began with Greenland. You know, look, we're happy to represent you guys, but we get something in return. So by creating the ERS, Trump puts his thought, this thought, which never occurred to you, into your mind, whether you like it or not. And what if it makes sense? First, Trump has to reveal the consequences if countries lose American protection. Till now, we've been offering protection through our military and access to our markets while asking for nothing in return. Now that will change. That's what Trump's military strategy and the ERS is, and only Trump could come up with this. It's what he learned as a contractor in New York City. Trump ran into so many Don Corleones that he became one of them. As Scott Adams points out, Trump absorbed their techniques of persuasion. You know, your country looks pretty good right now. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to it. So America is going to be Don Corleone. I just hope Canada doesn't wake up with a horse's head in its bed. Then The View will have to replace Joy Behar. Tom, you know what's great about this idea is that no one ever bothered to bring these things up. And Trump has this thing where it's like, whoa, what if? What if? And it's like he doesn't care if it comes off as stupid, because often that's where you lead to great ideas.
You know, and as I was looking at this story, I always wonder, what is it about the people who hate Trump so much? You know, the people who are super anti-Trump, and that is like the Republican establishment and the political consultant class, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the reason is that, because he comes up with ideas that are totally off the map. And the way that these political consultants made a living was telling politicians, you shut up and you do what I say, because we've done the polling and we know how this town works, and we know the lobbyists and we know who has the money and we know everything else. And Trump comes up with an idea and it messes with their plan.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, but here's what you have to say. And he's like, no, I'm just going to say my own thing. I don't care what you have to say. I'm just going to tweet it. Yeah. And they're like, well, how do you know if that's going to work? And he's like, well, I'll know tomorrow morning when I look at my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
You know? So he's trying this idea, and it's like, I love that idea of thinking of the countries as billionaires. Anytime you can use the left's rhetoric against them, and so he shouldn't go after the poor countries. He should say, why is Monaco getting away? Monaco, they're wearing those nice clothes, driving around in Rolls Royces. They need to pay their fair share, you know? So I think it's great.
I love the fact that when he redefines them as billionaires, boom, makes total sense. Joey, there's also something that he does in a lot of these situations. He takes the political world, which is phony, and he injects the real world into it. Because you couldn't get away with, you couldn't get away with what the countries are doing in the real world, in your relationships with other people, like a contractor or a mafia.
That's how regular Americans have identified with a billionaire from New York the entire time. Like he speaks like we do in the sense of he says what we think. Listen, you have the External Revenue Service. He says he's going to offset it. Basically what he says is he's going to raise so much money with that he can get rid of income taxes.
Yes.
And I don't know if the numbers work out.
It's how tariffs used to be.
But this is what I'll tell you. I look at Trump and the things he's done in his life similar to mine. I work in politics. He's president. I run the bench at Fox News. He had a hit television show for 10 years, right? He grazed, like turned his head, missed a bullet. I'd stepped right when I should have stepped left. You know? So it's like, he's leading the way. I just need to follow. But the one place I want to catch up to him is to get rid of income tax. If I could file my taxes and say, you know what, I didn't make any money this year, like he's done, that's where I want to be.
Well, you know, the thing is, I'm not an expert in this, but isn't that what tariffs originally were? Not to pay income tax. It was that the country, you got enough from tariffs so that the country didn't have to. So he's not positioning that way. He's turning it into something else. Andrew, first off, I want to congratulate you. Outstanding charity work for the wildfires. I don't know if you're aware.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it was commendable that you saved Julia Roberts' shoe collection.
Yeah. Yep.
No, but you've been delivering food to everybody, finding housing. You had people sleep at your restaurant. It's like a truly kind of like American type of charity. It's not a bunch of platitudes. It was action. So I commend you.
I appreciate that. It was actually everybody else who jumped in and helped. There was a whole community spirit, and the person sleeping at the restaurant was me. So there's.
You know, I thought about helping. Anyway.
So I want to dovetail off of what Tom said and what Joey said, because I actually agree with both of them, is that, one, I love the way Trump manages, and his policy is just like crowdsourcing. He'll tweet it out there, he'll see what the media's reaction and then the people's reaction, and he'll take credit for what's best, or he'll go against what the media said. So, I mean, that's just brilliant. He's going to be doing that for the next 4 years. It's unbelievable. But I also want to see the equal and opposite offset in regards to income tax. I didn't see too much in that. That's why I was lukewarm off the bat when I saw this headline, because we shouldn't have any income tax or tax altogether, right? And the thing is that all of these politicians, they just love to spend, spend, spend. You know, speaking of the LA wildfires, they actually said that there were all these looters that were going in and stealing everybody's stuff. And a lot of the LA politicians, they were evacuated from their zones, but none of their houses got looted because the looter said it was a professional courtesy. Right? So they didn't want to steal from them either. So he's got to cut taxes so that it's a net zero across the board, and I'm all for it. So you can let him know I'm good with this.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll get him on the phone.
Yeah.
You know he will call. You know, Kat, I get the impression that for all the fears of Trump getting into power, the world is actually enjoying this. It's like, this isn't like Bewitched, where they replaced one Darren with another Darren. It's like they replaced Mr. Roper with Godzilla. These are.
I don't know who any of those people are.
I know. I purposely use references you
Can you
wouldn't
do
understand.
it again with people from Vanderpump Rules?
Yeah. You know, I look at you. You were like a teen mom.
I'm 36.
But no, that's a compliment.
Actually, a geriatric pregnancy.
That's a compliment.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think that's a compliment, America.
No, I'm saying she looks too young to be pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah.
You ain't from Georgia.
Thank you.
You tell me I don't compliment you enough, and then I compliment you in front of 20 million people.
20 million. Well, listen, I can also admit I'm in a tough spot right now because I don't understand the External Revenue Service. I don't understand at all how it works because the tariffs are paid by the importer, not the foreign government. But I also know that I work on cable news. So your job is not to understand. Your job is to have a strong opinion regardless. I love how it's so cute how many of you think I'm joking. So yeah, I don't really understand what it means. But the spirit of it, as everyone has said, it is so true that we pay so much in income tax, and a lot of it does go to other countries, and other countries that have like a lot more time off than we do, and we fund so many of their things. So I think that spirit for sure is something that resonates with a lot of people, or at least with people who pay enough attention to know that, which I think is most.
So,
See? And then now I get the applause.
so Kat's strong opinion is that Trump wins again. Right, Kat?
That is how the headline would read. That's how it works. Nuanced opinion gets boiled down to 4 words.
Yes. I'm really good at that. Usually it's 5 words. Coming up, Trump wants to do good for sunny Hollywood.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.